Game studios are in real trouble now. That's not hyperbole. We've got studios that are closing up and disappearing forever, and then we've got studios that are laying people off left and right. A lot of it is because of a loss of direction or a focus on things that are not profit centers. When it comes to Bungie, both of those things are true. Former World of Warcraft team lead Mark Kern reacts to layoffs at Destiny developer Bungie, saying they were self-inflicted. I think that's a kind way to say that, John. Well done.
Well, it's what he said.
I know, but it's very kind. So it looks like they're laying off around 17% of their staff, claiming in Mark's saying that they were definitely self-inflicted. So Bungie
Right.
CEO, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that's a little bit deceptive. You'll get to this here, right there.
Mhm.
You can read that statement,
Yeah.
and then the next, and then further down. But that's a little deceptive because they're laying off 17%, but they're actually getting rid of a lot more people through some deals that they've made with Sony, and they're spinning off a whole like other studio. They're basically sending some of their employees to another studio. So we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll jump on it. And as we see here, so Bungie CEO and Chairman Pete Parsons announced layoffs in a blog post. By the way, some of these people found out they were fired via X. They were no
How
longer
do you
employed.
do that?
I don't know,
How do you
dude,
do
but
that?
it's crazy. But anyway, due to rising costs of
I think that happens because you might not have checked your email or something like that. A lot of remote staff, so you might find out through social media before you checked your email or whatever. Because obviously this stuff is they're probably send out the email 5 minutes. You're making the announcement on X, so if you're not checking your email right away, I can see why you might see it on social media. And I think that's just kind of the state of remote working now, which
Yeah.
it's also kind of terrible, right? To
Yeah.
Loki's point, because they're trying to do damage control with the news announcement. They don't want the stuff getting leaked out, so they're not making personal phone calls or anything like that to actually like break the news to these people that have probably been working there for. I would wager some of these people, it sounds like, have been working there maybe close to a decade or more.
Yeah.
And they're letting them go. So it just shows you these people really don't care about their employees. It's just, I don't know. I don't really like how it's being handled. I don't like that part of how this stuff is handled. It's very dehumanizing, in my opinion.
Well, and I mean, in the old days, you did have everybody come into the office. Now, not so much. But look, as it says here in the article, this is right from Chairman Pete Parsons' desk. Due to rising costs of development and industry shifts, as well as enduring economic conditions, it has become clear that we need to make substantial changes to our cost structure and focus development efforts entirely on Destiny and Marathon, which means that's all they're going to work on. He then declared that means beginning today, 220 of our roles will be eliminated, representing roughly 17% of the studio's workforce. These actions will affect every level of the company, including most of our executive and senior leader roles. Yikes.
But not him.
Yeah, of course not. I realize all of this is hard news, especially following the success that we've seen with The Final Shape, which is the latest DLC for Destiny 2, right, John?
That's the one that just released in June of this year. Yes.
Yeah.
Two thumbs down, by the way. Absolute trash.
Well, Loki probably knows more about it than me. I'm not a Destiny. I don't play shooters for the most part. So
I've been out of the game. I've been out of the game for a little while, but I still have some people that play regularly, and they've all told me it's absolute crap. I played the last expansion, and it wasn't any good, and I felt kind of ripped off, so I just didn't go back. And then they did this, and all I've heard is bad.
No, that doesn't sound good. But what does sound good is the fact that some of these people got other jobs. Well, not the 220, but we'll get there in a minute. Anyway, but as we've navigated the broader economic realities over the last year, and after exhausting all other mitigation options, this has become a necessary decision, like John was saying, to refocus our studio and our business with more realistic goals and viable financials. So they did it to themselves, right, John?
Yeah, they did. Clearly, he literally goes on and talks about how all of this how this was all their self-inflicted, all of their decisions that they made. Obviously, Grums points out a lot of the woke ideology that they started injecting into their games, as well as what they were doing outside of creating the games. a clear mistake. And the fact that the guy who is helming the company isn't getting laid off a part of this, and he's like admitting that he was the one doing it. I mean, it's telling, right?
Yeah, I mean, it always comes down to lack of self-awareness. And he doesn't seem to have a lot of it. But he talked about two other changes that they're making. First, they're deepening their integration with Sony Interactive Entertainment, which was always going to happen. They've been trying to stay somewhat detached. It just didn't work.
They're not being detached at all now.
Yeah, they're integrating 155 roles over there now. That's about 12% in the next few quarters. And SIE has obviously worked to identify how they could bring in some of the people that were working for, Bungie as it is. But second, they're working with PlayStation Studios leadership to spin out one of our incubation projects, an action game set in brand new sci-fi universe, to form a new studio within PlayStation Studios to continue its promising development. And to that, I say this was likely going to happen anyway, because I think Sony's probably looking at Bungie right now and going, "You are done. You have no more to offer. You have this is what you're capable of. This is the game you're capable of. Maybe Marathon, you're capable of these limited things. You don't have the bandwidth to be capable of more." So
they erased. I don't know if anybody knows this or not. John said he doesn't play looter shooter games like this. They erased the first half of this game. So if you bought this game when it came out and you bought the first, I think it's like 4 expansion packs, all that's gone. You cannot play that content. They essentially did a reset in Destiny 2 where they took out all those planets, all that story, all the missions you used to be able to go on, and they started over from scratch, but with the same game. They didn't make a new game and say, okay, now we're going to go into Destiny 3. They just killed the first half of the game and all the expansion packs and let you continue on in the game. For someone coming in that's new, you have no idea what's going on. You have no access to that story. You have to read about it in like a grimoire on their game database. So that's all you can do. You can't go back and actually experience those missions, experience the story. What does that do for new people that are coming in going, what is this really about? What's the story? You're just kind of thrown into the middle of it. So you have no idea. So you're constantly trying to figure out, well, why am I doing this? And why am I fighting these people? And this is all stuff they did. This was their choice to do. This was Bungie's mistake. And they made a huge, huge mistake because older players left. Newer players had a hard time coming in, and it just got worse even after they left Activision. Because yes, they used to be a part of Activision Blizzard. They left them, went off to be independent, and they immediately got with Sony. And they are reaping what they have sown, guys. They are reaping what they have sown.
Which is not good. I mean, just take a look. It's really, really bad. Let's keep on with this. See if we can get to this. Let's see. For over 5 years, it has been our goal to ship games in 3 enduring global franchises. To realize that ambition, we set up several incubation projects, each seated with senior development leaders from our existing teams. We eventually realized that this model stretched our talent too thin, too quickly. It also forced our studio support structures to scale at a larger level than we could realistically support, given our 2 primary products in development, Destiny and Marathon. Additionally, in 2023, our rapid expansion ran headlong into a broad economic slowdown, a sharp downturn in the games industry, our quality miss with Destiny 2 Lightfall, and the need to give both the final shape and Marathon the time needed to ensure both projects deliver at the quality our players expect and deserve. By the way, at the end of 2023, they laid off another 100 people, if you remember. I think it was around October. So we were overly ambitious. Our financial safety margins were subsequently exceeded, and we began running in the red. How do you do that?
They did it to themselves.
Bad leadership. Bad leadership.
Terrible.
I think I have it linked in this article. I didn't cite it. But there's the Larian guy. I think it's up. If you type it Control F Larian, It should show up. He actually called. He's been called. There it is, right there. That guy. He's been calling these guys out, saying that these are avoidable f-ups throughout. And I think he's absolutely right. I mean, these people did this to themselves. I mean, they clearly can identify what they did wrong. Well, why are you just now like trying to course correct here? Why weren't you planning for this? Why didn't you maybe foresee this? Why weren't you thinking ahead about this? This is just a complete and utter lack of leadership. And the fact that Parsons isn't the one being axed by Sony or Sony Interactive, I think that's like really telling, because you're keeping the guy that led the company down this path in place. How can you make any changes? How can you expect the company to make any changes when the guy who has been leading them down this, has brought them to this brink, is still in charge? This is the issue that we have. I think throughout a lot of issue with society is our leaders are terrible. We have absolutely terrible leaders. And this guy
no lies told
is part of it for his company, the Bungie.